Welcome, everybody, to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm excited, grateful to bring together again an amazing man, Anthony Trucks. We've had the pleasure of connecting a few years back when we were both with Todd Brown in Top One. But for those that don't know Anthony, he's been in the NFL, former foster child, competitor on American Ninja, best-selling author, identity shift coach, and really has transformed to really what a lot of people would say overcoming all odds against different statistics. But as the founder, and we'll get into that, but today, as the founder of Dark World and the creator of this Dark World work experience, Anthony teaches how to access the power of identity through going deeper within ourselves, tapping into this darkness, discovering our fullest potential, and then making shift happen. And I love that, bro, because I think that that's the biggest transformation for most men, that they are not aware of their own darkness, or at least not connected to it. So welcome to the show, bro. It's good to see you again.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate it. It's fun. It's always good to catch up with good people.
Yeah, brother. So let's go back a couple of years, because I know that before we were really focused on shifting ourselves. I think
Yeah,
helping a lot more in the marketing world, and then I think both of us went down a deeper route within ourselves
yeah,
to find ourselves, and then now we're out here shifting ourselves and others. And so I know
yeah,
even
man.
back then you were really effective in sharing your story, and now it's gone even deeper. So I'm curious to know what kind of shifted that for yourself, and
Yeah,
how that's been kind of going further for the people that you're serving.
yeah. I think there's always got to be a reason that you adjust, right? There's got to be something you're chasing that forces you to have to expand to be more, to do more. We'll call it. And so for us at the time, it was always going to figure out what's the message, what are you leading with, how do you develop that thing, and then how's it kind of have legs to impact people, and how do you market it, which is all some interesting ball of amazing, all at the same time. And so for me at the time, which still is, it was always a matter of identity. How do I get people to grasp the importance of identity? A lot of people are, all up in arms about the mindset, which is a beautiful thing. It's necessary, but identities have mindsets. There's a lot more than just a mindset within a sense of who I am. If you think some of the best individuals in the world, they go out and they don't go like, I got a great mindset. They go, this is who I am. It's a sense of self.
Mm.
And so what I work in is getting people to that. Now, when we were first starting out, it was the shift method, and it was about shifting. But like I had to anchor this desire in this place. It was very unclear for a lot of folks. So like, I don't really get the identity thing. How do we make it make sense? How to make it desirable? Like all this stuff. And in a weird way, like the more I would lean in, the more it would teach me to go deeper, right? To expand more, to get more clarity. And of all people, I was on a call with someone from my team, and it was a conversation about this, this thought of when I was making these first shifts of my identity, because I believe it's a shift, not a massive change of who you are, but you make these small shifts that make big change in time. And so we were talking about this window of time when I did this work that nobody saw and was uncomfortable, was just difficult, and I did it in the dark. But when I came out to the football field, I had this mentality of I've done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. And they go, how did that come to be? It was just this like deeper conversation. I go, it was just dark work. They go, dark work. I like that. And so the idea of dark work was kind of first planted as a seed. And then little by little, we kind of dug into it and started, brushing it off and polishing it up. And like now it's the brand. So when we previously didn't have a clear idea of what we would market to people, now the idea, it harkens back to the days of when doing hard things was sexy. It was the desire to do something difficult, sometimes purely for it to be difficult to develop me, but also it develops a skill set, and then develops this ownership of making sure I'm successful with this skill set. And so dark work has been this beautiful gift that I get to kind of give to the world in this aspect. But it was always been a thing I had to trudge through, because all these things I'm talking about are conceptual, right? It's an idea. But every single person listening, myself, you, in order to get to that level, we had to make adjustments to us, to be open to insights and feedback, to let something go into the world unperfect, imperfectly, and then find out from the audience of the people how to make it perfect, how to make it desirable. Like all these things are part of the growth of us as humans because they do say you can't grow a business more than you've grown yourself. That ties to whether or not you can handle the things you have to at a personal level to build something properly.
I find that this is fascinating because even during the time when we had connected before, I was doing a lot of work in Brazil or like within myself, traveling, trying to find this this reason for existence, you know.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
what was the purpose? What was the point of my living? And it's interesting because so many of us, we I believe there's a lot of men and women out there that don't know why they exist. You know, they don't
Yeah.
have this understanding or this curiosity, even. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to, kind of go with the flow. And, it's just like this rhythm of life that's been passed on to us through society's dictation versus getting curious about like what's the reason, what's the
Yeah.
meaning that I want to give myself in the story that I choose to live out, the video or the movie that I want to kind of direct and be a star of, and which way I want to shift. And I found that, brother, like it's interesting because we can choose so many of these components, and it really is about owning parts of that darkness.
Yeah.
Because if we choose that, oh, like really, if we choose by owning it, I sense from my experience was like when that reflection or that mirror shows up, you can move through with certainty in any environment. And so I find that I'm curious to know your point of view in terms of with kind of organizations and with leaders, now that you're doing so much of this development and this work on the darkness side, and the
Mhm.
importance of that inside of culture, community, kind of like the Western philosophy culture of like so much egomania and this necessary component of driving business from that perspective. How are you finding the shifts happening? Are they really problematic? Are they open? Are they, curious? What does that look like in your nature in the way that you've been showing up in your work?
I think the cool thing is I can be curious on my own about things that I think should be involved in some, we'll call it development, but usually people will put in front of me things to look at. That there's a statement I love and it says it's hard to see the label when you're inside the jar. And so
Mm.
all of us have these ways we're functioning. And again, I think Tim Murphy had stated that. So that's not mine. I won't take credit for that. But it gives me a lot of clarity because I go, there's a lot of things that I don't see. But if I have the ability to let somebody else show me, then I can find out where the shifts need to be made or take place. But the problem is a lot of us, we just do whatever we see somebody else doing sometimes. We just kind of borrow habits and ideas and thoughts. And then we put them into life and go, well, why am I not having success? Or why am I going so far, having so much energy dispelled, but not getting return in any positive way? And usually it boils down to you're doing the wrong stuff. You didn't know what you're supposed to do. You didn't look at your own areas, or your ego wouldn't give yourself permission to improve the area that you really needed to. And so these shifts sometimes are uncomfortable, but then also sometimes they're actually fun because you release yourself of a tension or something you've not wanted to do for a long time. And you go, I really wanted to quit this job for a while. I've really wanted to take this leap for a while. And the shift is the one you lean into, with fun. And so there's a lot of nuance to what it could be. But at base, here's what it is. You're doing something you haven't done that stirs your emotion when you're about to do it. It's this weird feeling of like something new, something different. And you do it and you're presented with some information or something, and what has to take place is there you have to lean into it. The dark work is things that you do now that you know what you're supposed to do. Like I think the idea of shadow work kind of overlaps a little bit. People go, what's the difference between shadow work and dark work? I go, well, shadow work is what you do to find out what's going on in the shadows, what your work is, the label in the jar. Dark work is what you do once you know. And
Mm.
that's the hard thing. A lot of people know what to do, but they just won't do it. So if you can lean in and do it, it's a whole different monster.
It's such a difference in knowing the path and walking it, right? And so that
Yeah.
is kind of the key distinction that I'm hearing or I'm listening to is that uh, when we're in the dark or we're working in the dark, uh, especially by being a light, I find that there's a lot of magnetism of a lot of the great things, but also a lot of the darkness, the dark things that will come. Because I think it's like,
Yeah.
as above, so below, as within, so without, as the soul, so the universe. And so when we do this deeper level of awareness within ourselves, we're bound to attract so much of uh, the exact opposite. And I think
Yeah.
it requires you, or most leaders that are willing to kind of do that, to um, know their own demons. Would you agree with this, or is this
Oh, yeah, you
something
have
that
to.
you work with clearly, or not? I'm just
No,
curious.
you kind of have to find your own areas of what has to be improved upon. If you don't do that, then what happens? You run. So I think a lot of people go into life and they go follow people, and there's nothing wrong with following people. The problem is when you follow somebody who I don't want to say shouldn't be followed, but you're following someone who's running, who's telling you how to run the race while they're still running the race. Does that make sense? Like, so essentially, if someone's in the middle of their race doing their thing, and they haven't got to the end destination, what they find is they start teaching from a place that is not born of the finish line, because they may get to the finish line and all of a sudden realize in the midst of this that where they took a right, they should have took a left. Gosh, but they've been telling everybody, well, they took this directional right. They've been telling everybody follow me, and they made everybody make a right when everybody should have took a left, right? So I think you have to get to points in time where you finish the race, you got to a certain point, or cross the checkpoint, then you turn back and you're able to give more insights and talk to it. But you have to actually also be able to admit you took the wrong directional turn. Because there's also people that'll do it. It's dead wrong, but they want to make sure they don't look bad. So they just stay in the same pocket. And I go, that's not how good humans work, man. Like you got to go in there and go, hey, I messed up, took the wrong turn and did that. So it gets back to that point of like sometimes people are incapable of actually doing what needs to be done to be successful. And they don't even realize it's just sometimes not even admitting that they need help or need to get better at some area.
What do you find that a lot of these people that you work with find as success? What is success? What's the definition to them?
I don't know what theirs is. It's always different. I know what mine is. Maybe it works for them sometimes, but I'll tell you this, mine at the end of the day boils down to I want to have control. And it sounds weird to say it that way, but there's two types of control. One, I want to control myself in situations that I can't control, right? Because I'm going to have an emotional response to something takes place. Other part is, can I control my day? Like, I just want to have control. Like, right now, I'm hanging with you and I'm here because I want to be here. And I don't have to be doing something I don't want to do. Like, it's an easy, smooth role for me. And so, what I explain to people is, well, your freedom might be riddled with like the freedom of choice because people go, success is freedom. And I go, that's great. You have freedom to choose a relationship, but you choose a crappy relationship. You have freedom to be in a career, but you hate your career. You have freedom to start a business, but you hate your business because you don't have control of them. You don't control yourself within them. So I want freedom, yes, but I want to have control of myself so I can actually, I guess, capitalize on the freedom that I have. And that's really where the beauty from my experience of life seems to come in. So the people I talk to, a lot of them will say freedom or money. And I go, that's great, but what does that actually do? At the end of the day, it's like freedom will give you a chance to choose. Money will give you a chance to have, less stress, but really control of that. Because if you have no control of yourself, you could have money and you buy a whole bunch of jewelry and you have nothing to spend, left over. Or maybe you have freedom, but the freedom you choose is crappy choices. But if you can control yourself to make the right choices or control yourself in crappy situations, my life is lived differently. My life is lived in a place of joy, in a place of like power. I'm not stressed out. And that, in my opinion, is one of the most valuable things that people could have. So I think that that is my definition of what success is.
I love that you bring up money and freedom, because I think that those are two really correlating topics that emphasize like what true wealth or abundance really comes through. And especially us both being kind of from North America, being raised with these different kind of perspectives. Again, I'll speak for myself, is like I've society's terms have dictated, what's most important in terms of success for such a long period of time, where I needed to go into that experience to find that the true wealth, money, and freedom is who we are inherently in our nature. So is this something that you find more prevalent in your work when you're dealing with leaders, that helping them really refine what true money and freedom looks like, because they're so stuck on the external versus their their inside of how they are showing up in any environment. Is that clear?
It can be. It can be if they're not open to the idea of it, because the hard part is changing the mind of the successful people. Like that, because in their head, they're great already. I'm great. I don't need any insight, any help. But then they inherently know that's not true because they would have everything they want in life. So the fact that you desire more tells you there's something off. But it's hard to get people to peel back the layers of the armor and to let somebody see a chink in it to be able to actually give you some support and insight. But that's a hard one to do, man. But when you get to the people who can and they're able to do that, then it's like it and refuting it and just look, you told me you like good feedback. That's great. Maybe you want to hear it, but like I can't do that when you're continuously having like these barrages of like justification because it would happen of our time. I'm sitting here going, you aren't even working on what you're supposed to. I've told you something you got to work on. You're still exhibiting this issue. So we're doing the same thing in a circle. And so these little things become issues for sometimes a lot of people. But the harder people are the more successful people because when you've had great success, the last thing you want is to be a beginner again. We say we do, but being a beginner hurts emotionally. And so people who have made millions of dollars and had greatest success, they don't like looking at something and being like, I'm not good at this. It's not a fun part for them.
That beginner's mindset is everything, isn't it?
You have to have it and you got to embrace it, not just have it, like really love it, embrace it.
And the more that the more we find, the more we realize we don't know.
Yeah. That's it. That's like, yeah, there's the bubble of what you know you don't know, what you don't know you don't know. And I explain it to my son too. He's off in college, and I go, son, you're about to go to college and learn a whole bunch of things. You're going to come back and you're going to have a ton of more insights. But keep in mind that you are just being opened up, like just clear on what you now know, but also what you don't know is beyond that. So now you know these things. Now there's things you don't know. But the wealth of the world, the things that I'm going to give as insight to you as you get older, is going to be things you don't know. So just be open to that when it comes time. Don't come home and be some like, I'm a college student, graduate. I go, that's good. You're going to know way more about physics than I will ever know. Beautiful. But there's a real world, and that real world stuff you don't know. So just be open to insights when it comes time.
Amen. Beautiful. Great father, brother. You're really a living legend, my friend. It's beautiful to listen to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really refreshing to have the insight from you. I'm curious. So when it comes to money, and kind of the perspectives of how money has been inflated and used as a source of uh, I would say as a source of slavery for a long period of time, based off of the wars and things like this that we've been conditioned to believe. What do you feel? What's your insight on money? What's your insight on the way that we need to have the relationship with money, or
Yeah.
how businesses can start to maybe get more curious about it? Do you have any
Yeah.
insight?
I mean, that's the one thing that everybody in the world touches and interacts with. There's so many perspectives. So
Yeah,
mine's never definitive. It's just one of many, many billions. But I will say a couple of things. One, I believe that money doesn't make you happy, but it removes stress, which creates a space to find happy. Right? You can
yeah,
have a lot of money, but they say sometimes people are so rich, all they have is money. So there's a part of it like the money's good, but if I can't have people around me that I love, it gets difficult. There's a lot of famous people you can talk to that'll tell you that. They'll be like, man, I wish I could have, just the regular life what it was back because all this money, everybody wants the money. It's all they see is a money bag, so there's that part of it. But here's the other part of it is there's nothing wrong with that. I think there needs to be a drive towards income because you can do good things with it. Great people do great things with money, not because they're happy. That's why they're always, nonprofits seeking money, but they're not good at getting money because they don't want to be seen as someone that's only out for the money. It's like, no, go get the money. Tell people you want to make money and do something good with it. Because the people that make the money who tell them I want to buy a Gucci belt, no one's making them feel bad. Like, cool. So we got to get in that same boat of doing that. And then when it comes to money, I believe it's a facilitator. It's not it's not the thing, it's what the thing can do for you or create for you. Like the moments it can share. Like, so for me, I'm a family guy, man. I love my wife and my kids. I have good family friends. And like right now in my backyard, we're building this gym. It's like $150,000, building with all the equipment. Like it's not an easy thing, but it's for my family to train, my neighbors to train, for kids that I want to come over for free and work out. Like it's beautiful. It's going to be amazing. The thing is like it's not just for us; it's for everybody. So I can create something cool for everybody to have. But here's how I got that. I got it because my focus wasn't on making money. My focus was on making an amazing impact, serving people, because I think the world reciprocates value with money, right? So if I give great value, the world says, here's money for that. Now that value could be washing cars, it could be being a manager at a bank, it could be being a speaker like I am. So when I go to the world, my focus isn't on how do I get money. My focus is how do I find a way to deliver and have the world receive the value I want to give it, so that when I do that, I get reciprocated the way I want. So I'm trying to find ways to put a message out there that helps, actually helps people. Find a way to be phenomenal on stage. So when I go out there, people love it. And they want to have me on more and more stages. Like those are the things that allow the money to come in to create these opportunities. So while I am focused on money, it's not that I'm focused on money as the effort to get money. I'm focused on the efforts that will make money. And then money becomes a byproduct. And so that's how it does it. And then from there, I'm doing things that create less stress in my life to introduce to me opportunities to be happy. So I can actually spend time with my wife because I'm not stressed out paying bills, and there's no stress in the family. So we can be peaceful and be in love. It sounds odd, but when you have those anchors, they pull from the joy and they pull from the center point of peace. I can be a present father because I make enough money and I have a job that I've built. I'm able to take my kids to school in the morning and pick them up in the afternoon and spend time with them and be a coach in their teams. Like I'm there because of the money. Now, I could also make the money and never see them. Right? I could make the money, be with my buddies, and be traveling around. I could do that. That's why I say money doesn't make you happy. It's a facilitator for the ability to be happy. But what you do when you have the I guess the stress of money off the table, that will determine your happiness. And I believe if I can do it this way, where I'm able to show up and be of joy and happy with them, I'm happy in my life. Because I'm happy in life, I get to go and serve people happy. Because I'm serving people and I'm happy doing that, I have joy to bring back to the family. And it's a big cycle in a positive way. So money, man, it's that background monster that allows you to have peace and joy if you choose to do right things with it. But you also have to do things that are right to get it.
It's a very peaceful progressive or progressor, right? So it allows you
Yeah.
to be in a state of peace so that you can
Hmm.
move forward with intention. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on Bitcoin?
I just sold it and I really wish I hadn't. Just a little bit. So I sold it. So I bought it a while back when it was at like 60. And then it went down to what it was like 20. It was 30. It was way
Yeah.
low again. Like in comparison, like 13, 14 grand. I'm like, I'm done. So I was like, I'm just going to wait until it gets profitable and I'm going to sell it. And it's been like a 2 year wait, you know? So it finally got to the point where it was like, it got to like 60, I think it was like 62,000 when I sold it. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was at 61,000. I think it was 61. I'm like, I'm selling it. So I made like $500. It's at 72,000 yesterday. I'm like, man, if I just held on literally an extra week and a half, I'd have made some more. But here's what I will say. These are all things that are like vehicles. And I look at the vehicle and I go a couple bucks here and there. But somebody one time asked, like, what's your investment strategy? And I go, well, I look at things that are like, stock stuff. I don't do much there. This Bitcoin was like, let me try that. There's a real estate stuff. But I go, all these things are assets that I have been able to get based on the asset of me. Like I am the biggest investment. So I invest in me, bro. Like I invest in different communities and groups. I invest in team. I invest in ways to make the money that I can then invest in those assets. So I go, my investment strategy is Anthony. I'm gonna do that. So while I may have had a Bitcoin and probably with what I had in it, I might have made an extra like $2,000. Like, ooh, that's the week of ads this week. That's how much not even, it's like the last couple of days. Then that, like it's not this change your life kind of money. But the reality is when I'm able to make enough money, like we bought properties. Those properties have made $100,000 in equity, and I'm still getting rental income on these, right? Those are better investments than Bitcoin. So I'm not saying to knock
I'm
Bitcoin
curious.
because I've had it,
I'm
but
curious
there's
about
different
the
ways.
inflation though, because
Yeah.
the inflation on those assets. Because like I imagine that we don't need to get all into it, but I'm just curious because the
Uh-huh.
real estate is a really good store of value.
Yeah,
but the inflation that's being
it diminishes it. Yeah,
is
which is
affecting.
that's the same thing even for Bitcoin though, because
Yeah, we're
oh my
back.
back. All right. No, what I was saying is even with like Bitcoin, right? It's like there's inflation because that's I can't spend that on like a pizza, you know. So even the profit made there still has to be transferred, where there's going to be an inflation. So the dollar itself is weaker. But it depending on what you invest in. So we bought a property for a couple 100,000. It's worth 300,000 now. It's like there's even with inflation, there's still profitability, and there was profit while there's there still is profit with the rental coming in. So not a whole lot, but I made money, you know, but they're not all that good by any means, but it is a good store. Whereas the volatility of Bitcoin is interesting because I think it is the future. I genuinely do. But I go, can I buy it later on and use it? Yeah, I can. Will I have made profit in the process of buying it? Probably not. But the amount of money I would have made on Bitcoin will be nominal in comparison to the amount of money I've made in investing in me, growing my businesses, expanding my team, having properties that still hold my equity and still, you know, build over time. So like, those are the things that in the long run they're good. I feel like Bitcoin is the low barrier of entry investment for a lot of folks. It's just like the intro thing, which if you have that kind of level of access to it, like there's not the billionaires in that. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that are making
Not
a
yet.
lot of money, not yet. They will be when it gets to be more stable because I think there's going to be a lot coming. I don't know 100 all these different things with the securities exchange, all this stuff's going on. I see a lot of it, but yeah, there'll be a time. But at that time, then I get into it. You know, and
I
again,
think,
this is to
bro.
be naive, but
I think if I may, because you have such like charisma and
mhm,
devotion to not just like your family, but and also uh, like yourself and your team. It really is a way to utilize it as a vehicle, as you mentioned,
mhm,
because it's gonna like the inflation is gonna continue going up. But
yeah,
really, what I believe is like by bringing your energy into that community,
mhm,
uh, it will be a way that allows not only more people to get emphasized, but you also to receive Bitcoin by contributing to that community,
yeah,
or
possibly,
I think it will also be a huge opportunity for you and not only the future generation of your family, but there's a lot of emphasis on the sovereignty that it really allows a lot of people to unpack. And I think that
yeah,
the proof of work that we've already been doing for such a long period of time, Anthony, like the devotion that we've committed to ourselves in the way that we show up in the world, and the emphasis of us really believing in something greater, like the principles, the values, the
yeah,
depth, it
mhm,
really stands for something that I genuinely like, as looking back into the dollars and the value of the US dollar and the emphasis of printing money now versus having
yeah,
a
it's bad.
store of, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
there's a lack of principles, there's a lack of
It's kind of like, yeah,
values, and
it's like how gold works because, you know, there's only so much gold, man. Bitcoin, there's only so much Bitcoin. So when you just can print a dollar, I just saw something today where Biden approved a whole $1.72 trillion bill next. Where's that coming from? Like we're just throwing money out there and we make the money, so the money exists and it don't. We're in debt. We're so yes, I fully grasp what you're talking about. For me, it's like where can I make the smartest investments? And while that's a side piece of what I play with, and this will I'll still dabble and buy things as it go. I think when it gets back down a little bit, I'll hop back in. But for me, the long term stuff, that stuff is going to pay off the bigger like dividends for me. I'm looking at things that I can like put money into that are hard physical things, and then in time like have that be the side. So if I'm wrong, shoot, I'm wrong, but I'm still going to be broke. That's the big thing. Like, because for me, it's like if I make more money, which I will make more money, it's like my lifestyle doesn't change too much. That's the thing for me is like I'm driven to make money to serve and to be of peace and where I can have control, but I've got that, bro. And it's weird. It's a weird dance of like not like people expect that I'm supposed to have to want to make like $1 billion. I don't want to do that. We make really good money. We don't know what to do with. At the end of the year, we're trying to find ways to put money in taxes and buy things and put them. You know, it's like we have what we worked hard to build, and I think the greatest thing I have is phenomenal relationships. And
Amen.
if I lived my life like this for the next 30 years and died, I'm still taking amazing trips. I'm serving people, thousands of people at a time on stages. I get great clients I get to work with and change their lives. I get to experience my kids living their life. I got a healthy body. Like, dude, I really, it's a pretty fun thing I get to call my life. I'm not gonna lie. It was hell for a long time, but I've built something cool.
Tell me about the experience of that. Like, what made you? How did you break away from the hell and actually find this deeper wealth within you? Because I think that a lot of people, including myself, have
Yeah,
experienced that, where we've gone
yeah,
through a depth of not really knowing what value we bring to the world. You know?
yeah, man. There's something, there's something beautiful about being able to do something you love, and the world loves that you do it.
Yeah.
Like there's a special little space there. Finding that's a gift because usually what it is, it starts with you being curious. And most people won't be curious, but you get curious about something. Then you start giving energy to it. You start kind of researching, looking into it, and it creates this passion of like, I like doing this. And then I think eventually, if you're passionate about it and you stay on the path where money will jump off, it just gets too hard. People leave it. You do step in like a pothole of purpose. You land in something cool. But then that's a fun thing to be able to do, right? But the big thing for me is like I've really understood that like the full depth of love and joy for us humans, at least for me as a human, it's found in the relationships of those around me. And we all say this. Everybody talks about this, but when you really get to it, you really get it. Like I have a marriage that is super deeply anchored. She drives me crazy, but it's like a beautiful thing. Like I feel so peaceful and at home there. I'd fall apart if I lost that. I've got
Beautiful.
kids who I know my kids. I know their hearts. I know their weird desires. I know them. I spend time with them every single day. I'm in contact talking to my children. There's not days that go by where I like haven't had a conversation. I see them and know them. I know my kids. I'm able to be present in the places that I want to be when I want to. So I get to give in an area of full expression without feeling confined to have to do something I don't want to do to make income to survive. So like and so all these things I get to the point of realizing that my full depth of like happiness comes from I've worked my tail off to create a business that I'm able to do something I love that people love that provides income to allow me to live a life I love so I can come back to the world and continue giving them something cool. And I don't even know how to like you break that stuff down, but to be honest, for me, part of it was I had to step in and go, hey, Aunt, you're the common denominator in all of your problems.
Mm.
Either you created this problem or you are allowing it to persist in your life. And until you do something, you have no right to complain about stuff. A lot of us complain about the market and the world and things going on. I go, it's great. What have you done to change it? Well, nothing. Well, then you don't have the right to complain. So you know it's a problem, right? Yes. What are you doing to change it? Nothing. Your fault. It's your fault. Like if you know somebody in your life is doing something crazy and you don't like it, but you don't say anything, you don't get to keep complaining about them doing it until you say like, "Hey, I need you to stop doing this." And then if they continue to do it, now you can complain. I told them to stop doing it. They wouldn't stop doing it, right? But a lot of people just they complain but don't actually give the effort to change something. And so when you realize you're the common denominator and you now accept that, now it's on me to start looking at how do I adjust who I am and show up differently to make the money you want to make. So you stop complaining about being broke, to be better as a partner in relationships. So you stop complaining about men or about women, to be a better father. So you stop complaining about your kids being crazy. Like these little things you look at and go, where is my opportunity to be better? And when you do that, you open up a flow, man. You can receive more, you can give more, and you be of more value. And when you're of more value to everybody, that's how value comes back to you. Like the income I make as a speaker in the world is because of what I go out in the world and teach and talk to because of how I became a better dad and a better husband and a better business owner. That those are the things that I had to do to get the information to be able to give back to the world where the world says, thank you for the value. So I can do all the stuff we talked about. But that's the pathway. It's to sit back and go, I'm a common denominator. Let me look at all the areas I see frustration and find out where my ownership lies.
Amen. Responsibility, Barrow, is it's such a beautiful word, to be able to respond and to actually have this experience of knowing that you get to choose. And that's what I'm hearing when I hear you speak is like you get to choose what distinction or decision you want to make to move forward into
Mm-hmm.
life. And I find that for so long, and again, I'll speak for myself, society, right, has been an experience of pushing things onto to me, and it was until I said no, not anymore. Like, I choose to change this. I
Yeah.
choose to make a distinct effort to see what I need to really configure to create more certainty in an environment. And so
Hmm.
it sounds like you're you've cultivated this inner world, this awareness within yourself during the
Yeah.
time that you were in hell or
Yeah.
experienced the dark, to ultimately refine the world around you because you
Yeah.
became it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You got to separate yourself from the world around you sometimes too, man. That's the world's an interesting thing because you could be in one city and part of a million worlds.
Mm.
There's so many different things going on all the time, and what happens is people never set their own scale of what success looks like. They just kind of borrow the world scale and they kind of flow. They try to find a place where they can be accepted. But the problem is like you got to be you're the people, you're the person to be accepted. Accept you, man. Like accept you for your flaws. And then what you do is it's not about accepting. It's about having a sense of I love respect and I love this person. Then you're happy anywhere. You're not seeking some joy from an external thing. Because if external portion is what makes you happy, you will be unhappy very quickly and for a long period of time because the external will never continue to keep you happy. So for me, I started going, well, do I love me? And at certain points in time, I go, I didn't love me. Why not? I don't respect me. Why not? I don't follow through on my word to myself. I don't do the hard things I'm supposed to. I'm not making the efforts. I am the reason this happened, and I won't take ownership. And I knew this. Your core knows this. But once you know that, you have to. There's so much guilt with it because people go like, "Gosh, it's more painful to feel." So they drink it away, they drug it away, they sex it away. They don't face it, so it doesn't go away. And then what you find yourself doing is battling this internal little demon all day. And really what you do is you don't have a conversation with it. You outwork the demon. You go somewhere and you start doing things. You start taking actions, the opposite of what got you here. And you start developing this full tilt proof that you're monstrous and amazing in a different area. You start apologizing, you start doing extra work, you start following through on your word to yourself. Now what happens is you respect yourself. When you respect yourself, respect anybody, you can now love them. I don't love people I don't respect. It doesn't work that way. Like I don't know anybody that I love that I don't have a respect for them. And so I go, if I don't respect me, then I won't love me. And here's the thing: if I don't respect me and love me, I don't sacrifice for me.
Mm.
I don't do the things that I need to do for me because why? It's just me. I suck. So I eat the bad food. I miss the workouts. I say the different things. I just, I do these things that I self sabotage, they call it. So the idea is that you do things separate from the world that are hard just for you. So you build that sense of respect, a sense of love, and then you show up in the world differently. You're a whole different sense of how you show up, and people can feel it on you. They get around you, they can see how you walk, how you talk, how you carry yourself. It's a whole different experience of life.
The certainty,
Yeah.
physiology, right? Like,
All time.
there's nothing left to say. Sometimes it's not even what you say; it's how you're behaving with other people.
Yeah. Do you have confidence? You can walk into a room and you can see somebody and know who they are in a sense of how they're respected. You can see them in terms of how people are drawn to them. Like I can walk into a room and if I look in a corner and see one person in the center, everybody's laughing, I can feel that human. Or I can watch somebody who's just sitting at a bar by themselves and I can feel who they are. But it's the way you carry yourself. And the way you carry yourself is always an external example of what your internal feels like.
I love it, brother. You've really expanded on like the cognitive, the emotional, and the physical states of mastery and brought them all together to a space of alignment. It's amazing to see how you are bringing that with such ease and grace. It's amazing, brother, and I really
Thank you.
acknowledge that because it's so important. And I believe, brother, like right now, this dark work that you're doing and the way that community, culture, organization, businesses, leaders. I think that this is the such an opportune time for us to really come even more together and build greater communities so that more of us can emphasize leading from this place of grace to like as a family, as a culture. Because I think from my perspective, the East has taught a lot of that in terms of like going within and doing all of the deep work within. And but what I'm noticing is that with the West, we're actually going within and then making it happen.
Mhm.
And I think we're really amalgamating the balance of the philosophies, and our generation is integrating it into um, making our spirits be seen in any environment versus thinking that there's a separateness between the two.
Mhm.
And I find that this work is just like it's so fascinating to me to observe, but also to have the awareness that we are doing this as a family or as a team, as a society, is exciting because that means that we're gonna leave this world behind so much better than when we found it, bro.
That's the idea, man. Make it better than we got here. Because some point, no one's gonna know us. It's just gonna be people that were here. But if it's better, then that's the whole purpose, man. Move society and the race along.
Yeah. Dude, your gift. So what's next for you? How can people find out,
Yeah,
how to get more involved with the dark work? How can they get more curious
yeah.
about what you're up to?
Well, everything for the brand, it launches to the general public. We'll call it in looks like June if we do it all, maybe May. It just depends on the website and a couple little pieces from the team. But like I'm already doing keynotes on it. We already work with some corporations on it. But like bringing to the full breadth of it to the we'll call it general population. I can't wait to do it. But if you go to darkwork.com, you can actually see a little link there where you can put your information in. And when it all launches, we'll send you an email saying, "Hey, we're live." Essentially, everything from apparel to coaching programs to informational product. There's a whole bunch of cool things that you can kind of go through the process of understanding how to go through your own dark work experience, which is really the key for folks. It's the experience that rewires you and changes your life. So we help people set up and structure and walk themselves through.
Amazing. So darkwork.com. And
Yeah.
brother, before we go, I really always ask this, and you probably remember from the last time. If you had 3 days left to live,
Hmm.
what would you do?
I'd fly all my kids home, which they're already here. It's the oldest one, and we just hang out. And we would do what we do. We would talk through the greatest moments. I'd have them like tell me so we could write them down, and I would tell them my greatest moments and write them down. And we would just have it be like something that's stored somewhere. So I would probably have somebody come and just record us all having that conversation, and that we would have like the ongoing memories and thoughts of what were some of the greatest parts of life. But it would just be my five people, my family, myself, my four, my wife and my three kids. Not that I don't love the rest of my people, but they know that my family is so much a part of me that me not talking to them or like seeing them and having them be in those last days, it was not a thing that was against them, but it was because I was being who they knew me to be, the guy they loved anyways, which was the family man. So I'd just be an example to them. I'd obviously tell them I love them, and yeah, but I would spend time with my family, man. That would be the core part of it. Just extract as many cool moments as I could.
I love it. I can really see the importance of family for you. And
Yeah,
I think ultimately that's why we're all here, is to really build a bigger family and to help emphasize that, at the end of the day, we're brothers. I see that
yeah,
that way, like
yeah,
I see all of that, because we're here for a greater calling and we're in this time and place and space at the right time to really
yeah.
emphasize a deeper meaning. And so it's like, hey, how do we help each other? It's like the playground just became bigger since we were kids,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
playground's the whole planet now. So let's make it
True.
more fun. Let's play. Let's do bigger things. Let's, like,
I'm
so
all for it
I appreciate you, bro. It really is a
too.
pleasure to connect with you again, man. It
Same,
really
man.
is.
We gotta
Do you
do it.
have
We
any
gotta do
last?
it sooner. Yeah,
Say
sooner than like
again?
that. I said we gotta do it. We gotta do it sooner than like 3 years though. But yeah, no, I last words, man. No, I just I think for people who are listening to this, take one thought, one idea, and apply it. Just one. You don't gotta do a bunch of them. Just take one idea, put it into motion to build the motion of getting an idea and putting it into motion. That's what you need. That muscle gets built. You can flex it somewhere else. You'll see your life become something different in time.
Amen. Big love, brother.
Ditto, bro.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for listening to the Resilient Minds. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure to go comment and like and follow us on iTunes or Spotify. And make sure, please make sure that if you really love this, to share this episode, and make sure that you're inviting all your friends to like it as we continue to unfold what the beauty of our minds does. More importantly, how powerful our heart level of intelligence can be when we combine our heart and our brain together. And more importantly,
make sure you take the time to take a look at what we're doing at Balanced Media Ventures and how we can actually really support you in doubling your impact, your income, and your influence, and how you can bring your life's greatest vision into your purpose and create it from that level of reality. Talk to you soon.